Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today we're gonna be answering your questions and comments because, as always, now's the best time to buy skis. Don't buy skis in the winter if you don't have to. Obviously, life happens. People get bonuses in the winter. Things change, you get impulsive, you buy. But if you can help it, and if you have enough foresight to know what you're gonna need, try to buy skis now rather than the winter, because typically you're gonna save like 30 or 40%. That's just my personal advice. That's how I buy skis. You can do it however you want, no judgment. But with that, there's no skis to review right now, and I can answer a lot of your comments and questions to help you make an educated purchase. So, without further ado, let's just jump in and help answer your guys' questions. This is one of my favorite things to do each week. It helps give back to you guys, the community. So let's just jump into it. All right, Andrew Burke 2535 says, "You, Ski Essentials and Out of Collective have become my balanced breakfast of ski content." Oh, that's very nice of you to say. Yeah, I like their content too. "I was hoping for some help with a ski recommendation. Currently, I'm on a pair of J Skis All Play center-mounted twin tips. Hope you can work with J Skis in future. They're amazing to deal with." Yeah, I've been talking with them on Instagram, and I'm hoping to test out their skis. I'm not a big park skier, but I think that they've got, from what I can see online, some pretty good all-mountain skis. There doesn't tend to be a huge amount of search for independent ski makers, but I like featuring them anyway because it's nice to see what's out there, what other people are doing to be innovative in the ski space. And if you only kind of stick to the most well-known brands, you miss out on that. It can be harder. They're more reluctant to send skis. Their budgets are usually a little bit different, but I'm always open to it. I can't always review 100 pairs of J skis, right? That'd be impossible. But I try to go out of my way to review small brand skis just to be thorough and let people know what else is out there. Because there are so many talented ski makers out in the space. So yeah, hopefully I can work with J Skis. They go on to say, "I'm looking for a new daily driver and leave my old skis for park days. With plans for a dedicated powder edition next year, I'm a volunteer ski patroller in Eastern Canada, so I need skis to get me anywhere on the hill. I'm 5'10", 180 pounds, less aggressive, more playful rider. Although I spend a lot of time on groomers, I prioritize getting in the trees whenever I can, and I have started some small touring. These skis will be getting a shift or similar binding. Some current options I've sized up: a Ranger 96 or 102, Wrestler 9 or 10, Blaze 94, Enforcer Unlimited 94 or 104, QST 92 or 98. Wow, that is all over the place for different types of skis. Okay, it's gonna be hard for me to give you a suggestion because you want a ski that does too much. You're basically getting a resort ski that's gonna stay in bounds, but then you also want it to tour well. I don't know, what I would do is I hate to say this because it does get expensive, but don't try to get a ski that's gonna ski well on the groomers and tour well, because you're gonna be sacrificing things with the lightness and everything, right? And you're on the East Coast and you've got some skis that are kind of more damp skis. I know it's a pain, but separate that out. Don't try to get a daily driver that's also gonna tour well, because that's not gonna end well for you. So if it's all the same to you, I'm gonna try to answer this question as best I can while leaving out the touring element of it. I just think yeah, maybe some of the skis I recommend can tour, but you're asking the ski to do a lot as a daily driver and in the trees and being on the East Coast. I also am not familiar with Canada, so that's another element. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I try to tell people my blind spots so that you can take all of my advice with a grain of salt. What would I suggest is a ski patroller who's light and wants a more playful ski, who comes from a freestyle background. If it were me, off the bat, I would probably recommend the Meier Skis. Because with some of those East Coast mountains where they're smaller, and again, I'm not familiar with Canada, I'm going off of Vermont, so I know people get touchy about that. I know the mountains are bigger there. But let's say you're a ski patroller and you need to go on certain runs and you need to be able to enjoy the groomers. I think they're really good for that because they're really good at short radius turns. The Meier Skis is also pretty good at doing glade runs where you need quick maneuverable skis. They wash out really cleanly. They've also got that freestyle element that would probably be fun for you, while not really being a twin tip ski, but I'm sure there's things that you could find that you would enjoy there. The only thing they don't really have is they're not gonna be really good at skinning or going, powder skiing. And then, but you said you're gonna get a powder ski later anyway. In fact, you would be better off saving for when you said you're gonna get a powder ski like next year or something. Save that powder ski for something that could tour. It's easier for a powder ski that could also kind of tour well rather than a daily driver that's gonna tour well. You're gonna like spread yourself way too thin on that. Whereas you could get like an atomic bent 110, or even I've heard of people using the bent 100. You could do that and tour with it. There's a lot more options for you out there. You could go and get like a Black Crow's Draco Freebird that tours really well and does powder well. You could go into the Atomic Backland. There's a lot more options for things that do both. But for my advice, like for a daily driver, yeah, I would go with the QST 92 as a daily driver for something that goes in the trees well. I would also look at the Atomic Maverick 95 Ti. The Meier Wrangler is really excellent at like being a daily driver, but also going off trail. So yeah, for me, if I was looking at something like this, I would just say, get a real daily driver that's gonna be fun in the trees. Go with an Atomic Maverick 88 to 95 Ti, that QST 92, like I said, the Black Crow's Octo, I bet would be really fun. If you know, are like, okay, I don't want it to do anything in the park, or I don't really care about being washed out, you could go with the Black Crow's Octo, but I think from what you're describing, those short radius turns and being washed out in the trees would probably be slightly more fun on the Octo. There's so many good options, and then if you want to get into touring, save that for your powder ski, because there are a lot of really good backcountry skis that also can serve as powder skis, but there aren't a lot of backcountry skis that I would want as daily drivers. So anyway, Andrew, thank you for the comment. I hope you found that helpful. Okay, user Alec Green says on my ski price video, Evo also has a package deal for the Maverick 95 with marker Griffon 13 bindings for $565, which seems like a really good deal. Any thoughts on those bindings? Thanks for finding these, and we'll definitely use your affiliate link. Okay, I will say Evo I love. I personally buy my skis through there. I personally buy, especially my gear, like bindings and goggles and everything through Evo. I will say the one weak area they have is they are not the best with their bundles, and the only reason is because they don't mount them themselves. There are other places where they will mount it for you. So you have to like kind of factor in the extra 60 bucks that you'll have to pay a shop to do it. So just take that into account. And so I don't typically recommend the bundles. Whereas if you just get the skis alone, that tends to be a good deal. And then sometimes your local shop will sell you the bindings and then give you a discount on the mounting. I know REI specifically does that. So you could even use one of my affiliate links to buy the bindings on REI or the skis, like sometimes there's good deals there, and then get your discounted mounting, which I think is like 30 bucks. Be careful though, like REI's, their quality control with mounting stuff, I've heard is kind of all over the place. But, you know, if you're looking for just value, $565 is really good for those bindings, but just factor in the other 60 bucks you're gonna need to get them mounted. And I found that Evo is just a little bit less competitive than some of the other places because they don't put in mounting. But then again, like there are people who argue you really need your personal ski boots to mount it correctly. And I think there's validity to that. So I can see why Evo doesn't do that, but I just want to be transparent with you that there is going to be that extra $60 for the mounting. What they asked, what I think about the marker Griffons? Yeah, I mean, most of the demo bindings are marker, Tyrolia. There's another comment asking me about the Tyrolia Attack. I think all those bindings are perfectly fine. I've never had any issues. I do think that the look bindings that use metal tend to last a little bit longer, and I personally use the look SPX 12 and have had really good luck with it. Just from my racing days, I've learned to trust the looks a little bit more. I did have marker bindings when I skied on my Blizzard slalom skis. I'm not sure. It's partially superstition, partially experience, but I do tend to trust the look bindings a little bit more. But I've heard great things about the Griffon and people seem to love them, so I don't know. Shop at your own discretion. All right, Jack Meier says, anybody have a suggestion for a dedicated front side carver? I'm a solid intermediate with good power and balance, but not so great fundamentals, who's looking to progress to a more advanced level. I was thinking something like a Wingman TI, but I don't actually know. Oh, and I definitely prefer skis with a damper, smoother ride. Okay, it's hard because there's a lot of options, and typically some of the more damp skis can require more strength. Like at least specifically when I think of Oakley or some of the Nordica skis. So let me give you a suggestion, just out the gate of what I would recommend. I would go with the Elan ripstick. You could do the ripstick 96 or the 88 depending on where you are and how deep the snow is. I probably wouldn't go with the Wingman as much as the ripstick. And if you want something damper, you could go with the Ripstick Black Edition. Although if you're not wanting as firm of a ski, go with the Green Edition. I've only reviewed the 96 Black, so take that with a grain of salt. But what's nice about the Ripstick series is that it has an asymmetrical shape to it. So what happens is it basically kind of like is very easy to initiate the turns because it's almost kind of in that stance already. So I like that ski for intermediate skiers who are trying to like work on their skiing, because I think easy turn initiation is nice for somebody who's intermediate because it kind of takes away that element and can allow you to focus on the rest of the turn. It's also a very diverse ski for going all over the trail. So take that with a grain of salt. You may really like that. I think that that's an excellent option. It does get hung up in the heavier, wetter snow a little bit with those kind of nice wide tips. But overall, for an intermediate skier who wants to get better, I think if you take out that turn initiation, it's really good. If you're more of an advanced skier, maybe look at the Fischer Ranger series. Those are also really easy with the turn initiation. But the Ripstick almost kind of starts it for you, so depending on where you're at, both are good options. And yeah, thanks for writing, and I hope you found it helpful. So anyway, that's the end of this video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll also have links down below if you're one of these people or if you're just shopping in general. But as always, more than anything, just thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I loved reading your comments. I will try to do this more as we go into winter, and then maybe we'll see from there. But as always, just thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.